Let's rip straight into it and go to, is it the Caribbean or is it the West Indies? I'll ask him this. Danny Morrison, mate, you sent me some rather nice pics of your hotel in Antigua yesterday. Lovely tropical paradise it looks.
It is, and it does bring back fond memories here of 1996 when still playing and had dear wifey, dear Kim, was here on the trip and she came for the test matches. And yeah, it really is idyllic. And you think this is the home of the great Viv Richards and Richie Richardson, Ambrose, you name it, these guys are from here. It just holds a special place. It's such a unique little island, and yet it's produced some amazing cricketers, eh?
Let's go back to 1996 then, when Cairns and Parori, with Glenn Turner as coach, stormed out and left. Those are the memories I've got.
Yeah, I bet. That wasn't an ideal tour party, to say the least. The dynamics of those humans and holding the space, as we say in the 21st century, weren't really to the fore. Different strong personalities. And, again, so that player revolt scenario, it's sort of happened a bit more as we move forward in the future in Aotearoa still, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. I want to talk to you all about that. While we're on it, those names that you mentioned, Richie Richardson, Viv Richards, Curtly Ambrose, when you're there in a place like Antigua and you've got cricket going on, is the spectre of those guys, do they always loom large?
They do, and even when we were in Guyana, Marty, we had Roger Harper, the great off-spinner. They used to just call him offside, and because he'd just take over the whole of the offside and no one else needed to be in the covers or point or anywhere. And Rog presented the player of the match, didn't he, when New Zealand came second to Afghanistan?
Yes.
And then when you hear Richie Richardson is, he's an ICC match referee these days, and so he was there at the toss the other day when I did, Scotland-Oman on Sunday, and the great Andy Roberts, who I just forgotten that group of Antiguans. So, yeah, handy Andy. Hopefully we might see them at the ground. I'm sure if they're about, they might pop in, and the ICC are probably looking after them in a nice hospitality suite.
Well, you got Aussie Namibia, and we're talking obviously before that, so we'll have a little preview of that game as well. But when you're touring the West Indies back at that time, how difficult was it? And realistically, did you ever think that we were going to go there and win? And I go back to those those mid-'80s series where Marty Crowe got his 188 and Coney got his arm broken, and those where it was just you're just facing a barrage non-stop, both ends of sheer pace.
Yeah, and you're facing them in their own backyard, and so that's always the challenge. And I think cricket lovers will appreciate sides tend to have that advantage playing at home and tend to do well in their own backyard. So throw all that into the mix, Marty, and you had that battery, as you say, from those late 70s into the 80s and right through into sort of the mid-late 90s. They were fearsome, and they were big and strong and powerful, and he had the four quicks, whether it was Clive Lloyd or Viv Richards rotating Richie Richardson as captains. You never really felt that comfortable in the arena of saying, look, we could actually win a test here. And it really wasn't until, I think, 2002, wasn't it, when Stephen Fleming, into this new millennium, had a certain Shane Bond who could bowl at 150 clicks himself, made a difference. And again, frustrating, that was a two-match series. We played a two-match series in 96, and I think that one in 85 you mentioned was Marty Crowe getting that big 100. That was a four-match series, and New Zealand lost that 2-0, which wasn't bad, out of four tests. And as you say, there was quite a artillery thrown at them, and a few of the boys ended up in hospital. And Ian Smith talks of a great story about being down at the hospital getting his arm checked as well after Coney got his broken. So fun.
All right, Dan. So you're there calling this World Cup amongst a whole host of international commentators. Who's the best team that you've seen so far, and is it going to be the team that you're calling this afternoon?
Well, the Aussies are just outstanding, aren't they, when it becomes the men's team of white ball World Cups. I mean, they won the 50-over one just recently, supposedly against all odds. They had a slow start, didn't they, in the 50-over one in India. And then, as they keep saying, you peak at the right time and you're coming down the home straight and getting the crop out and whipping it hard and did the job. So, yeah, you have to put them in it. The pitch in New York, and if you want just a quick digress there, laying in a drop-in pitch that late in the piece was always going to probably be difficult and challenging for play. And, that India-Pakistan game, the biggest game on the planet, was challenging, and they've gone from the flat tabletops of India, where 250's been breached a few times in the IPL, and then you come along here, it's a different ball game. So I look at that, and I still look at India, and you have to, of course you do with that. You look at that playing sheet. Australia, again, the two finalists of the 50 over white ball one back in November. And then you think, okay, well, who are the others? The English, they could sneak up again, but geez, they've got to do a bit of a rescue job to even make it into the Super 8s. The Windies at home, Marty, no host nation of this T20 World Cup scenario, which started in 2007, has actually won it. No one's won it at home, so the host nation hasn't. Could this be it? They're useful, but I just think they're bowling. At times, and their batting can be quite brittle. They might have a great performance with the ball, Akil Hussain and co., but then all of a sudden they just come unstuck with the batting. Pakistan, again, blow hot and cold, and that's why you think, geez, what about them? And then the good old Black Caps, who normally are a great side in tournament play of white ball cricket, didn't have any warm-up games, and they came unstuck. So when I also look, the other one on the throne is Afghanistan. I mean, they are a bit of a dark horse. I know you say, well, that's only because they ran over New Zealand, and New Zealand was so ill-prepared. True, all of those, but we're in these conditions in the Caribbean. The finals are played in the Caribbean. They're not in the US. They're going to be here in the West Indies. So watch out for them. I just think the balance and how driven and passionate and motivated they are with their whole coaching staff and playing squad, they're ones to watch out for.
Danny Morrison with us, 10 years and more for the Black Caps, 48 tests and 96 ODIs. We didn't have T20 cricket back then, but 160 test wickets and led our attack after Sir Richard. All right. When you just geographically explain that, so you say it's not in the Caribbean, it's in the West Indies. You see, straight away I'm thinking, well, that's the same place, isn't it? But it's not.
Well, it's west of the Indies, right? So it is. And I'm in the Leeward Islands, which is the north end of the Caribbean, and so then one of the semis, or one or two of the semis in terms of the playoff in Guyana, that's where Afghanistan ran over New Zealand. So there you've got, I think, one of those semis on the 26th there, and the final, the finale, is in Barbados. Now, the pitch has got a little bit better, and it might be better under lights, but that was very slow and dry. So, the ground staff have got a bit of work to do there, because everyone wants a slick surface, and you'd love to see 200 plays, 199, or they get it, smash it and get over the line. But that's going to be challenging. I think the nature of the surfaces get a bit tired, and the weather may play a part. This is the wet season, Marty, and who knows, you get a final that might be rain affected and you're on again, off again. You throw into that, I just think the Afghans just look so organised, and they've got all those mystery spinners, and even Faruqi, the left arm swinger, who Finn Allen decided to tee off ball one and lost his poles.
Well, I mean, okay, let's just talk about that before we even go further, and just remind me at the end that I want to talk about South Africa, because you didn't mention them, because they are the perennial world chokers at these tournaments, but they're actually 3-0 at the moment. But Finn Allen, for a start, I mean, I've been so angry and wild about this for a couple of days. Look, and it's not that I hate the team or hate the players, but I actually do hate the way that they have so underprepared for this, and the attitude and arrogance.